Charles. In the real far country, there was a statement that startles people. The idea of a person, or a so-called saviour, dying for anyone on a cross, for anyone's sins, is an ignorant belief and a silly story. This age and time is okay for the new presentation with the new news, but do you think with such a statement you are not on a kind of a crusade against the religious fanatics? Duane responds, "That's a given. I wrote a group called We Bother Everybody. Again, I'm covering all the bases, and I see that. We bother everybody. Because most of the world does not want to make sense of their situation here. They want to keep thinking that playing in the mud, that it's all la land, that it's a really good thing, drinking their Starbucks coffee and having their Coca-Cola, how it's all good, and it's just going to keep going. Well, that's fine. I'm not concerned. I'm just having fun, creating the challenge to let people know that there is something else. But realistically, looking at certain things, people have been roped into these things. I like the challenge and the things I say, like Paul and how he upset a lot of people because of what he said, and I understand it. I can see that as he wrote things, people were going to take it wrong. There are many ways to look at it, and of course, because of their personal self, how they've been brought up so tenderly, passively, and pampered, etc. Be a good person according to the social structure, cross with the green light, wait for the crossing guard, no jaywalking, etc. It doesn't conform. The sun shining doesn't conform with anything on the planet. People like the sun, but the reality of what the sun is representing, they won't take the time to recognize, because they want nothing to do with it. So you might say they're opposed to it. Even though they like the sun, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to see it. And this is how it is. And we all struggle through it. It is a struggle to get through that. I see that as I write certain things. I don't mean to bother people, but at the same time, they have to be bothered. They have to wake up. And if they're bothered, then they're kind of paying attention. So, do you do nothing? Do you walk on tippy toes? Or do you say something? And really, what I'm saying is really no big deal. It's right in front of people's faces. But if they want to cater to these things, worship and pray, love these idea stories that the reptilians created to subdue them and keep them in human farming, well, that's their right to do that. But at the same time, I'm going to have a little fun too. It's a catch-22 for all of us. I see what I've come through this life and know how difficult it is. When you go back to your childhood, as far as you can remember, and see the struggle just to understand something, and how you're locked into this personal state, this body, how limited it is, and how limited you are, and the struggle to finally get to where you get your head out of the cocoon. What a hell! What a living hell it really is. You go through this lifetime after lifetime. You come back into this darkness. You go into that body. You're nothing, and to try and get something here. And even people singing the NUUU and reading the books, trying to get experiences on the real side too. Yes, it's a lot. Some people have the real side experiences, some don't. It comes and goes. The experiences are one thing. It's a living hell here. It's a struggle to get through this, and I see it as very important. I have a great consideration. That's why I do this every single moment, because I see the struggle of people. So I do all that I can, and take the abuse, and it's fine. I'm fine with the abuse. I stand up to it. But you have to be ready for that, and that's where a lot of people are afraid. They don't want to. It interferes with their personal life. And what will people think of them if they say something that makes sense with what's going on in the world? There's a lot of people that know about the chemtrails, the fires. They're living it. They're living the hell. Their homes were burnt up. They see the weapons, the lasers coming down, and still they're afraid to talk about it and confront it. At what point will people step up? Do you have to be totally destroyed, lifetime after lifetime, to finally step up? Well, a lot of us have been, and it's like enough. We don't need to be tortured and ruled. The whole idea of life is to recognize what life is. That's why we're in creation. Not to be tortured here, to be deceived every day. Well, this is the whole world, and it looks as though the world's doing fine, but it's all deception. 100 years ago, when the Indians were here, they didn't have a business world, technology, or any of this nonsense. They focused on nature, on the all-natural environment. Then the warmongers came from Europe, set up the United States as a takeover country, and here we are, not thousands of years later, but less than 300 years, and voila, here it is. We're all sitting in 5G, getting whacked with Morgellons and everything else from the chemtrails, nanotechnology, etc. A little bit of rattling makes sense with what's going on in this world, because I see the struggle people are going through, and sometimes you have to grab them, say something, and see how they react. Let them hate you. I'm not afraid if they dislike or hate me. I'm not concerned. It's happening. Look at the sky. Look at those streaks. They're killing us. They're killing you. I'll be fine. I'll step on the real side and be fine, but everybody else won't be, because I see people who even knew about this step on the real side and don't know where they are at. It's a lot of recognition. It's a lot, and who will step up and keep doing it and doing it day after day while you're here? We're in a particular position right now, and so I'm doing everything I can, and on the real side too. I'm very adamant with my intent that I recognize what I'm focusing on and deciding. It's very important, because this is how life is. The view of the all is survival, without restriction. No restriction, no authorities. That's it. There's no variables. There's no letting it in a little bit. Nothing. And look at the world. Nothing but restriction, torture, authorities, deception. The whole place is plagued with it, and people agree to it. I'm all in for confrontation and doing something real. That's the challenge. Who will do it? We have a lot to do.
Kevin, just a moment here. Yes, that's funny. Listening to these things from the past that I said, it's rather humorous. And at times during these talks, they were recorded, Charles would fall asleep because my answers were so long. I wanted to get it all out there because he asked the question, but you could actually sometimes hear him snoring. He would fall asleep. It was rather humorous. Yes, thank you.
Yes, some of his snoring activities have been recorded on some of the Skypes. You could hear them quite clearly. But I think for Charles, though, when we had the Skypes for him, it was about 1 or 2 in the morning, so perhaps that was a little bit understandable.
Oh yeah, it was a hard time for him because when we had the Skypes, yes, it was he'd actually go to bed and have to get up, and sometimes he'd forget. But it was hard for him because he was teaching every day too. He came from Africa there in the Congo area. Another country in Africa, Cameroon. Yeah, and yeah, he had earned his way. He got himself out of Africa, got to China there to teach, and so he was an educator. So he was very, very much into that. Very literal person, but a very good guy. And then at one point, he found some stuff. Years later, he found some stuff where I had first started after the Rod of Power in 2001. I had started some stuff called beingfree.org, etc. And he found that, and that for some reason made him kind of strange. And so he just thought everything was fake, etc. The NUUU and everything. He just, all of a sudden, he just turned. It was like he was looking for an excuse to just stop. But and took some Africans with him too. Took quite a few, convinced them that no, it's all phony, it's all fake. And so whatever, we'll see what happens here. People come and go, but yes, thank you for doing that. That's good. Just so long as we let people know what's going on, and there's always something new taking place, and they're not stopping, and many forces going on in the world. I see it, and well, we just do what we do.